Imagine for a moment that in the next few minutes you could discover a formula so simple, yet so powerful, that it could change the way you think, the way you act, and the results you get in your life almost instantly. Not someday, not next year, not when things get easier, but right now. What if I told you that the difference between where you are today and where you want to be isn't luck, resources, or talent, but a few small shifts you can make immediately? Today, I'm going to share an easy formula that, when applied consistently, can unlock focus, energy, confidence, and momentum in ways you never imagined. If you stay with me until the end, you'll see that the power to improve your life has been within you all along. And the path to taking control is simpler than you think. This isn't theory. This is practical, actionable, and life-changing. And it starts with steps you can take today. Change your focus, change your life, because the mind naturally responds to what it notices most. Your attention acts like a spotlight, illuminating certain parts of your experience while leaving everything else in the shadows. When you focus on problems, mistakes, or what's lacking, your brain trains itself to see more of the same. Your emotions follow, creating stress, frustration, or discouragement, which then affects your actions and the results you produce. On the other hand, when you consciously choose to focus on solutions, opportunities, and what is working, your energy shifts, your emotions improve, and your actions become more effective. This is why people who seem to effortlessly attract success aren't necessarily luckier, they are simply paying attention to the right things consistently. Focus also determines clarity. The more attention you give to a goal or a problem you want to solve, the more ideas and possibilities your mind generates. When your mind is scattered across too many directions, it struggles to produce results and progress slows. By narrowing focus on what truly matters, your brain begins filtering distractions and noticing cues and opportunities that align with your objectives. This is why one small adjustment in focus can sometimes create an immediate shift in perspective, leading to faster decision-making and better outcomes. Another crucial aspect is the link between focus and energy. Attention and energy are inseparable because whatever you concentrate on drains or energizes you. Negative focus depletes energy, leaving you tired, stressed, or demotivated. Positive, solution-oriented focus increases energy, boosts confidence, and motivates action. This is why high achievers often talk about mindset or mental state as the foundation for success. Their ability to direct focus effectively gives them the energy and clarity to act decisively, even in difficult situations. Focus also affects habits and long-term patterns. Repeated attention to certain thoughts strengthens neural pathways, making it easier to think and act in those ways automatically. When someone focuses on growth, opportunity, and improvement daily, those ways of thinking and acting eventually become second nature. Conversely, habitual focus on fear, doubt, or limitation reinforces stagnation. By becoming aware of where your attention goes and deliberately directing it toward what empowers you, you essentially take control of the trajectory of your life. Small habits lead to big results because transformation rarely happens overnight, and lasting change is built one step at a time. Every action you take, no matter how minor it seems in the moment, sets off a chain reaction that compounds over days, weeks, and months. A single effort might appear insignificant, like reading one page, taking one walk, or writing one sentence, but when repeated consistently, these small actions create momentum. Over time, the cumulative effect of these small efforts produces results far greater than any single dramatic effort could achieve. The key is repetition and consistency, not intensity. People often overestimate what they can achieve in a day and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year through small, deliberate actions. This is why habits, even tiny ones, are the building blocks of extraordinary results. Small habits also make change manageable and sustainable. Big goals can feel overwhelming, triggering procrastination, stress, or self-doubt. When a goal is broken down into small, achievable actions, the brain experiences a sense of progress regularly, which fuels motivation and confidence. Each small success reinforces the belief that change is possible, creating a positive feedback loop. This approach reduces resistance because the actions don't feel like a burden, and the cumulative effect becomes unstoppable. Tiny actions repeated consistently are easier to integrate into daily life, which ensures that growth becomes habitual rather than sporadic or forced. Another important aspect of small habits is that they build resilience and adaptability. Since small actions are low risk, mistakes or setbacks are less discouraging, allowing for continuous learning and adjustment. Each iteration provides feedback on what works and what doesn't, enabling refinement of approach without losing momentum. Over time, these repeated small efforts teach discipline, focus, and patience, qualities essential for achieving bigger goals. They also shape identity, because the repeated choices someone makes define how they see themselves. A person who consistently practices small positive habits gradually begins to identify as disciplined, capable, and committed, reinforcing behavior naturally. Finally, small habits compound over time in ways that are often invisible until they suddenly produce noticeable results. Just as tiny deposits accumulate in a bank account to create wealth, tiny daily improvements in behavior, thinking, or skill development accumulate into significant life changes. This principle demonstrates that monumental success is rarely the result of rare, extraordinary effort, but rather the product of consistent small actions applied over time. Language shapes reality because the words we use, both internally and externally, influence how we perceive the world, interpret experiences, and respond to challenges. Every thought we think is accompanied by language, whether spoken aloud or silently in our minds, and that language carries meaning that affects emotion, belief, and action. When we describe ourselves or our circumstances in negative or limiting terms, the brain begins to accept those statements as truth. Saying, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough," reinforces doubt and discouragement, subtly shaping behavior to align with those beliefs. On the other hand, using empowering language like "I am capable" or "I can figure this out" shifts perception, strengthens confidence, and motivates action. Words are not just labels, they are signals that direct focus and behavior. The influence of language extends beyond self-talk to how we interpret events. The same situation can feel stressful, discouraging, or exciting depending on the words we use to describe it. For example, calling a mistake a failure creates shame and fear, while calling it a lesson creates curiosity and growth. This difference changes emotional responses, influencing decisions and actions in ways that compound over time. By consciously choosing language that highlights opportunities, possibilities, and solutions, we program the mind to seek constructive outcomes rather than dwell on problems. Language also shapes identity because the way we speak about ourselves forms the foundation of self-perception. People often internalize labels and repeat narratives that limit their potential. When someone consistently uses language that affirms growth, strength, and capability, those repeated statements reinforce identity over time. Saying, "I am learning" instead of "I always fail" doesn't just see, hinge, mindset temporarily, it gradually rewires belief systems, making empowerment and action more natural. This principle applies to both private thoughts and public communication, as the words we share with others can influence our confidence, accountability, and sense of purpose. Finally, language creates momentum because thoughts lead to emotions, emotions lead to actions, and actions lead to results. The words we choose act as the starting point in this chain. By deliberately using empowering, solution-oriented language daily, we shift mental focus, boost energy, and trigger behaviors that align with success. Over time, the consistent use of positive, intentional language changes how we experience life, enabling progress that feels natural and sustainable rather than forced or accidental. Action beats intention because knowing what to do without following through accomplishes nothing. Many people spend countless hours planning, visualizing, or thinking about change, believing that intention alone will produce results. While planning and intention are important, they are only effective when paired with consistent, deliberate action. Action is the bridge between ideas and results, and it is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Without action, even the clearest goals remain abstract, and potential stays unrealized. Every result, whether small or large, is the product of doing something repeatedly and purposefully, not merely thinking about doing it. Taking action also builds clarity and confidence. When you start doing, you learn what works and what doesn't through direct experience. This feedback loop is crucial because it replaces uncertainty with knowledge, allowing you to adjust your approach and refine your methods. Waiting for perfect conditions or complete understanding often leads to procrastination. Action removes doubt by generating real-world results, showing what is possible and what requires improvement. Each step taken creates momentum, which makes the next action easier and increases the likelihood of continued progress. Action also shapes identity because repeated behaviors reinforce beliefs about who you are. People often underestimate the power of small wins achieved through action. Completing a task, no matter how minor, sends a signal to the brain that you are capable and competent. Over time, these signals strengthen self-perception, making it more likely that you will continue acting in alignment with your goals. Intention alone cannot create this effect because the brain does not register abstract plans as evidence of capability. It registers completed action. Another critical aspect of action is that it combats fear and resistance. The mind naturally hesitates in the face of uncertainty, but action breaks inertia and reduces anxiety. Often fear exists only in anticipation. Once action is taken, the perceived difficulty diminishes. This is why people who consistently act, even imperfectly, make more progress than those who wait for inspiration, motivation, or the perfect circumstances. Action creates experience. Experience builds skill, and skill breeds confidence, forming a cycle that accelerates growth and achievement. Ultimately, action transforms intention into reality by creating tangible results, building clarity, shaping identity, and generating momentum. Thinking alone cannot create lasting change, but consistent, deliberate action compounds over time, producing results that far exceed initial expectations. Without action, even the most powerful ideas remain unrealized and potential untapped. Gratitude rewires your brain because it shifts focus from what is lacking to what is already present, creating a powerful change in perspective. The human mind naturally tends to notice problems, threats, and shortcomings, which can lead to stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. When you consciously practice gratitude, you interrupt this pattern and direct attention toward positive aspects of your life, no matter how small. This simple shift in focus changes how the brain processes experiences, increasing feelings of contentment, optimism, and emotional resilience. Gratitude does not ignore challenges. Instead, it balances perception by highlighting resources, progress, and opportunities alongside obstacles. Gratitude also strengthens emotional well-being because the brain associates notice positives with emotional reward. Recognizing what is working and appreciating small victories triggers the release of chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, which enhance mood, motivation, and focus. Over time, these neurological changes make it easier to respond to life's difficulties with calm and clarity rather than frustration or despair. People who regularly practice gratitude are more likely to maintain a constructive mindset, which allows them to approach goals with energy and persistence, even during setbacks or stress. Another important effect of gratitude is its influence on relationships and social perception. Expressing appreciation strengthens connections with others, builds trust, and encourages reciprocity. Social support is a critical factor in personal growth and achievement, and gratitude amplifies it. By noticing and acknowledging the contributions of others, you create an environment that fosters collaboration, encouragement, and shared progress. This not only improves interpersonal interactions, but also reinforces a positive cycle of giving and receiving support, which can accelerate personal and professional growth. Gratitude also enhances focus and decision-making because it reduces mental clutter caused by negativity and scarcity thinking. When the mind is preoccupied with lack, fear, or resentment, it struggles to notice opportunities or make constructive choices. Practicing gratitude retrains attention toward abundance, possibilities, and solutions, improving mental clarity and strategic thinking. Over time, this shift becomes habitual, allowing individuals to respond to challenges with creativity and resilience rather than reactive emotions. Finally, gratitude builds a foundation for long-term success because it aligns mental, emotional, and behavioral patterns with growth and positivity. It creates a lens through which life is interpreted, influencing both small daily actions and larger decisions. When gratitude becomes a consistent practice, it transforms mindset, strengthens relationships, enhances focus, and fuels motivation, producing cumulative effects that improve overall life satisfaction and achievement. Belief drives behavior because what you truly accept as possible or impossible in your mind directly shapes the actions you take and the results you achieve. The human brain uses belief as a filter for interpreting experiences, making decisions, and responding to challenges. When someone believes they are capable, they approach tasks with confidence, persistence, and creativity. When someone doubts their ability, even simple tasks feel intimidating, and hesitation or avoidance becomes automatic. Belief acts like a lens through which reality is perceived, influencing focus, energy, and the willingness to act. Without belief, knowledge and skill alone are often insufficient to produce meaningful change. Belief also affects resilience because it determines how setbacks are interpreted. Someone who believes in their ability to grow sees obstacles as temporary and solvable, using challenges as learning opportunities. Conversely, a person with limiting beliefs often interprets the same obstacles as evidence of personal inadequacy or the impossibility of success. This difference in perception influences emotional response, motivation, and persistence. Belief provides a mental framework that either amplifies effort or diminishes it, making it one of the most powerful determinants of long-term achievement. Another critical impact of belief is its effect on identity. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we can accomplish shape our self-concept and behaviors. Repeatedly affirming empowering beliefs reinforces a positive identity, creating consistency between thought, emotion, and action. Over time, identity and behavior align and actions become more automatic. Conversely, limiting beliefs create self-fulfilling cycles where doubt, fear, and hesitation prevent progress, reinforcing a negative self-image. Changing belief is therefore central to transforming long-term patterns in life. Belief also fuels focus and intention because the brain prioritizes resources toward what it considers achievable. When you believe success is possible, attention, energy, and creativity naturally align toward achieving it. You are more likely to notice opportunities, persist through difficulties, and take strategic action. Without belief, even clear goals or detailed plans often fail because the mind unconsciously resists what it considers unattainable. Belief energizes behavior, turning ideas into purposeful action and enabling consistency over time. Finally, belief compounds results because consistent action, fueled by strong conviction, accelerates skill, experience, and confidence. The more someone acts in alignment with empowering beliefs, the more evidence they generate that reinforces those beliefs, creating a feedback loop. Over time, this loop strengthens both mindset and results, allowing achievement to scale beyond initial expectations and shaping a life that reflects the depth and power of the beliefs guiding it. As we wrap up, remember that improving your life doesn't require a complete overhaul, luck, or waiting for the perfect moment. It starts with small, intentional actions guided by focus, belief, gratitude, and consistent practice. By applying this easy formula daily, you take control of your thoughts, your energy, and your decisions, creating momentum that compounds into real, lasting change. Every step you take, no matter how small, moves you closer to the life you want and the person you are capable of becoming. I wish you the courage to take action, the clarity to stay focused, and the persistence to keep going even when progress feels slow. May your journey be filled with growth, confidence, and achievement. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your energy today. Good luck, and may this formula guide you toward a brighter, more empowered life.